Okay, let's start with the final roundtable. In this final roundtable, we focus the topics on the use case application, the emerging digital technologies, focusing the application cases with 3 different companies. And this is important for us because the first roundtable of this morning, and also for this one, we focus different topics and different perspective around how the world is changing in terms of digital technologies and emerging technologies, focusing how to address this changing from the technical skills and the humanities skills perspective. But the objective of this roundtable is not to leave the questions only in a theoretical level. So it's important for us to understand how this emerging technology and topics like creativity, like foresight skill, like ethics and digital culture is important for your companies. So in this roundtable, we have Maurizio Decollanz, head of the communication IBM, Fabio Mosca, co-founder and CTO of AnotheReality, and Giorgio Ponti, product strategy manager of retail Epta. So Maurizio, I'll start with you. Why topics like creativity, foresight skills, ethics is important for a company like yours?
Uno, due. Let me say, first of all, it's not important just for IBM, but it's important for the humanity. We think as IBM that we are living a new kind of era where probably 2 assets are mainly defining our future. And they are, first of all, technologies, of course, but in the other side, we have human capital. The human capital capable to be protagonist of our era, a well-skilled and prepared human capital capable to drive technologies in the right path and capable to bring to the humanity benefits, concrete benefits. This is why it's so important to have an ethical approach the technological innovation. And let me say that IBM is strongly engaged in this topic. And in fact, we created an ethical committee that is in charge to evaluate every project that involves AI, for example, considering what is the impact of that technology on the society. This is very important. And this is why, for example, we have gone away from facial recognition technology, because the implication of that technology is strongly sensitive, and we would not be part of that implication. But we are strongly convinced that, first of all, technologies can bring on the table, on the human table, a lot of benefits, of concrete benefits. But it will be capable to do that only if we have, in the other side, a well-prepared human capital. This is why, for example, I'm so proud to have been part of such an important project like MADE and Politecnico. IBM is partner of this so important temple of innovation. And this is why it is so important that not just the public education, but also the private companies put their efforts in the path of leveraging new digital skills, new competencies, new knowledges, because we need to address in the right way the technologies, capabilities, in order to have a more sustainable world and sustainable growth. We are now finally facing an economic and social recovery after the crisis, the pandemic crisis. It's so fragile. It's so fragile. It needs to be sustained by innovation, yes, but it needs to be sustained also by human capital. And we need to invest a lot on that direction. And I'm absolutely proud of the National Plan for Recovery and Sustainability that the Draghi government is driving in this particular time. And this is exactly what we need. But I'm closing. Do you remember the sentence we put on balconies during the lockdown? It said, all will go in the right way. All will be all right. Do you remember it? Let me transform it in a question. It is going to be all right. It depends on us. It depends on us. No others. It depends on us.
Thank you, Maurizio. I will come to you with focusing artificial intelligence application use. Fabio, what does the different perspective analyze this morning and today is important in a company like yours?
Well, in my company, AnotheReality, which is probably less known than the others here at the table, but just to summarize, we are working on using video games, metaverses, virtual reality to create application user for companies. Is already given in some way that you need the creativity to work with video games, especially when you're using video games with, let's say, business objectives. Especially you need ethics, you need to think on humans, how they work. If you do, just giving some examples, if you're trying to make trainings for soft skills, for management skills, there's a lot involved there. And if you're working on social spaces in virtual reality, general meeting spaces, when you have this particular part of technology, which is virtual reality, that feels very personal. And if people invade your personal space in virtual reality, that's not very good for the user. So it's something that you need to keep in mind while you work. So it's not only tech, there is a lot of tech on that, but a lot of thinking behind, or like, all right, maybe should I think on how to limit this? How to, maybe someone don't want those limitations, so you have to decide where to go. Do I let the user choose? I'm going to impose this because this is going to cause me troubles. Even having voice chat with public spaces, and you may have people that are going to like bother other people. So you would need to moderate them. And for a company like small like us, it becomes a problem like, do we have enough manpower to moderate that? Probably not. So it's better to think that earlier. So definitely a lot of things involved in this kind of technology.
Thank you, Fabio. Giorgio, before starting with the use case application in the retail field, I'd like to ask you what does foresight skills and humanities skills needs for Epta?
Thank you for the interesting question. It's a little bit complicated because my brand, my factory, my sector is a food and beverage. That's very delicate. This is the reason because we are searching some elements to protect, to respect, and to regenerate food. Obviously, during the pandemic, we worked a lot because the pandemic situation was very complicated because the human keeping contact directly with the food. and the conservation system that, let's say, informatic electronic improvement to have perfect security, perfect sanification, perfect conservation are, let's say, preliminary, and we are obliged to arrive in the maximum level on the market. Then the food is precious. Remember that our refrigerators are spread in the world with a different position, different condition, different location. It's important to avoid completely any possible wrong, any possible dangerous situation. And also the electronic, the informatic, and the, let's say, innovative improvement we are obliged to implement, because the evolution of the conservation, the evolution of the food production, and the ultimate, the evolution on the food sanity and sanification is a master of work. Then every people eat something. Then we are in a very non-comfortable ways. And we are obliged to improve some innovation day by day.
Interesting. I stay with you. As mentioned, in order not to leave things and the thoughts shared in this event to a theoretical level, we want we want to understand the real use case of this application and what does mean in practical in the application, the link between technical skills and technologies used by humans and humans' skills. So can you explain to us how is changing the retail fields, and what does it mean in terms of using emerging technologies in a different or uncomfortable way?
Two opposite ways. One very simple and one very complicated. Then you can imagine, since yesterday, the refrigerator in the commercial refrigeration on food and beverage bars, shop center, were very ignorant. Cold, non-cold. Light, non-light. That's all. Obviously, the technical improvement enter in a deep way in our world. For example, e-commerce, digital shops, or UV light for sanification, or let's say nanotechnology for air sanification in the air inlet inside the refrigerator. That's many different technology applied since, let's say, 2018, 2019, before the pandemic. But in the pandemic, we made a big jump to introduce in a spread way in all our catalog, in all our production, this technology, because we were obliged to guarantee to the people that the product has been conserved in the right way and has been sanificated, but not only the internal product, but the surface of the packaging and all the information. Then, and we improved a certain product directly connected to the e-commerce, the online shopping, but offline picking, another series all around the world. That's a very big jump in the market. In the last 2 years, it's completely different. It's another world for the retail shop.
So, Fabio, in your reality, can you explain us how you use the foresight skill and how you combine technologies with human uses of your virtual scenario, as you explained?
How much time do I have for
1 hour?
All right.
No, less than 1 hour.
Less. Okay. No, all right. Just to launch this, consider that now I'm talking very specific in technology, but then let's go more broader. Like virtual reality, in terms of headset, was born during the 70s for virtual training. Like I have to train to how to use a jet, a fighter jet, and how to land in the sea, emergency landing. And if you think of that, even in the 70s, like how much expensive is that? How can I train that? Do I throw someone and you sacrifice a jet every time to try once? No, you can't. That's too many millions of dollars to do that. So it's better to reproduce that virtually, even sacrificing a little bit the fidelity of what you're doing, but starting to give the experience to that person how to do that. In the 70s, you think how much software and hardware would cost, still less than sacrificing various jets. And that field, so talking about those kind of trainings still applies today. That's, I think, is one of the main fields that I saw that applied. So not only military jet, but even like medical is one of the fields that went on and on and on, even during the last 10 or 20 years. Now it's just better technology, it's more mature, it's more realistic, it's more approachable to everyone instead of spending hundreds of thousands of dollars. But if you think how a surgeon can train how to operate on a person, well, it's better that they try sometimes in VR first so they can make mistakes. And in medical field, making mistakes, that's kind of fatal, could be. In VR, you just press restart. Oops, I missed it. It's already an explanation on benefits, value, even costs, but you have benefits. Then there are many other applications besides training. I saw trainings on to just pilot normal, even just to start the engines for airplanes. We actually made also some trainings on. I don't remember the Italian name for traliccio. So those big structures where there are insulators. All right, you have to climb 30 meters and then get equipment from the ground from people that send you up all those equipment. And making a virtual representation of that means that you discover immediately for like a new person if they suffer vertigo, just saying one. And then it's definitely less expensive to organize some sessions where you bring people, experts, you go on a field trip because maybe you have to go in the mountains, so 3-4 hours of travel just to try once and maybe discover that, oh, but I still don't know how to put my protection, my protections, and etc. You do that in VR from your office, you learn everything. I actually learned all of the. I probably would be able to climb on those pylons. I would be able to install printers. We made trainings to install printers, the big ones, because the problem was that people that learn how to mount printer, they change every 6 to 1 year. So there is a lot of job shifting there, and so you cannot take 1 year to teach them and then they change. So just training, that applies also to education. There is a lot of education. During the pandemic, we saw a lot. There were already video games where people met, but during the pandemic, they went a little bit outside of video games. So we saw meetups, we saw universities starting to have their own virtual meeting centers. We saw Greek dancers meeting in VR with sensors and doing dancing battles in VR. This is one. Then there are many others, but
yes, I understand that all of kind of immersive technologies, so augmented reality, virtual reality, mixed reality, solve many lot of problem, but I suppose the right way to fit the problem is to understand the right question, to fit the question with the problem. So in this case, how foresight skill help you, and how do you use creativity and, for example, the ability to work in a cross-functional team to define the right question and then to solve the problem with the technology support?
I give a similar example, but on the other side, because here there was a little bit of foresight and, well, cross-functionality and creativity, that's considered just those kind of projects generally are made with programmers, but you need also artists because you are creating graphics, and you need the designers that understand the problem, and you still need someone from sales, business, someone expert on that field that you are going to work on, and all those people need to talk together, understanding together. But the foresight here, we started with VR as a company, but till now I told you all the advantages, very nice, but there are big problems on that technology that not always is applicable, because you need to put an headset, and if you have 10,000 people to train quickly in a light way, you cannot. So we had to work, understand maybe clients, people that came to us and were like, we want a VR training, and we put people together, and we're like, since we live doing things, we could make the client happy with that single request and take our invoice. But the problem, this is more a part of business foresight, like, this is not going to work. So they won't come next, because what we are making to them is a gimmick. They will like it just the first time that they use it, but then it's not giving them value. And what happens, like, you sure you need this? You very sure? What's your problem? Oh, we have 30,000 people to train. How you're going to train them using VR? Have you planned this? No. And then maybe we think with them, like, have you thought doing maybe just a mobile game, which is maybe less immersive, still better than traditional videos? There is some part of engagement. You can leverage on the smartphones of all the people, and you can reach 30,000 people. And you're like, maybe. So we need to convince them that this in the long term is going to be better than some other technology that they thought at the beginning, because they saw that it was very cool. And we need to put a lot of people here at the table in the end to be like, okay, do we challenge this kind of request with something else that we know that is going to be better, but we need to make sure for them that they understand and they are convinced that makes that better. And that was, this happened. So a project that started with VR and ended up being a mobile game because this requirement was too many people to train and it wasn't applicable. So we knew that at the end this project would be a failure in the long term. So we like, okay, let's make a smaller one, mobile game, but we know that in the long term it's better for you and it should be better for us, because if it works, you come back to work on that.
Thank you. Oh, sorry. Thank you. Maurizio, in the previous roundtable, we analyzed the impacts of ethics into design processes. But if you want to analyze the impacts of ethics and humanities skills into one of the main important emerging technology today, artificial intelligence, as question of the audience today, can you share with us some example of artificial intelligence and the implication for humans, and then how from the backend, from the development technology perspective, researchers, engineers, and other skills work together to defining the design processes in design development of technology to share technical skills with philosophy, sociology, and ethics, and all the implication of humans of these emerging technologies that are really, really impacting us.
Well, first of all, let me say it's a very important matter. I would say a crucial matter. I'm relatively fully agree with the previous speakers, and I consider philosophy as one of the most important point of view able to create the ethical approach for the artificial intelligence. And in fact, for example, the European Commission has recently issued some suggestions in order to address in an ethical way artificial intelligence. Francesca Rossi, that is our global ethics leader, was part of the experts that participated that work, and I'm obviously proud for that. But we need also, from one side, to collect all the possible different point of view from many angles in order to understand how to address in the best way this problem. Yes, but also we need some practical trigger to start to address in an ethical way artificial intelligence. For example, from the IBM's point of view, biases are one of the most important issues we have to manage at the moment in order to create an ethical artificial intelligence. As you can imagine, we are going to have autonomous cars. We are already having banks or insurance that are scoring their clients through an algorithm. And of course, we are facing also a lot of problems related to the social networks and their algorithms. So it's really important. And this is why, for example, IBM produced a software tool labeled Fairness 360, able to understand if an algorithm has implemented a bias. Because this is not a voluntary matter. It might be involuntary from developers to put a bias inside the algorithm, writing and developing it. So it's really important we have a sort of control in order to understand if an algorithm was produced in the right way or it was produced in a bad way. And it's also time, and we are discussing today about maturity, to discuss and to separate or to distinguish bad technologies company and good technologies company. I think it's time to understand who are really putting efforts in that path and who is not creating the right artificial intelligence we need. And this is why there are a lot, believe me, a lot of concrete benefits that an artificial intelligence can bring to our society. And if I can bring some concrete examples. I would say three concrete examples. First of all, a project we made with Autostrade and Fincantieri Tech. It is related to the bridges and highway infrastructure. Probably you well remember the tragedy of Morandi Bridge. So, first of all, we question us with this question. Can we still have tragedy like that? Avoiding applying technologies like Internet of Things, artificial intelligence, capable to understand if an infrastructure need to be maintained? No, we can't. We need to apply technologies. We need to have the right skilled people, and we need to create a sort of software capable to understand when an infrastructure like that need to be maintained. And this is what we created with Autostrade and Fincantieri Tech. It's a digital twin. This digital twin is replicating exactly some bridges and highway infrastructure, and we can absolutely understand when an infrastructure or a bridge needs to be maintained before it collapses. And as you can imagine, this is related to human lives, and it's really important. A second practical example. It's really close to the advancements made us leveraging. And it's a project we created with Sheffield and SDF. They produced agriculture tractors. And your question might be, what is the connection between artificial intelligence and agriculture tractors? Well, they implemented a solution that, based on Internet of Things and sensors of Internet of Things, implementing artificial intelligence, they can make a predictive maintenance of their tractors. They can understand, wow, now it's time, there is an alarm, it's time to do a maintenance on the tractor. And this is strongly related also with what the tractors are doing for agriculture. So we have created a connection between precision agriculture, between emissions, and what the agriculture and technology can do together, combining the forces. Last but not least, another project we created, for example, for the Ca' Foscari University and the University of Padua. It's a simple chatbot. It's a virtual assistant for students, but it made concrete and really the possibility to assist students 24 hours on 24, and in addition to separate what is an ordinary activity from an extraordinary activity that needs to involve human professions, and it takes a lot of time to be developed, but now all the students of these two important universities can benefit from this simple, I would say, virtual assistants based on artificial intelligence. So 3 concrete examples on how we can save lives, create a more sustainable agriculture, and assist people in a university field.
Thank you, Maurizio. Giorgio, in the retail, what kind of emerging technology are redefine retailer, and what are the impact on humans?
It's very important. For example, just to connect with Maurizio, we introduced the predictive maintenance on the cool pack. Cool pack is, in Italian, is centrale frigorifera. Then the machine will generate the call for the entire supermarket. And the predictive maintenance is absolutely fundamental because to prevent the problems, because when a cool pack breaks down, all the supermarket doesn't receive any free air. Then it's quite complicated. Second one, we improved our let's say fluidodynamical computational calculation for the air intent to maintain the temperature. You can imagine that our gap of temperature, internal temperature in every point of a refrigerator is half degrees Celsius. Then we use fluidodynamical computational, the same of Formula One, just to calculate the air inlet, air outlet, the eventual dispersion, and physical barrier to maintain the cold inside and to maintain the product in the perfect conservation temperature. The third one is, for example, the introduction of telemonitoring. We are capable to monitorize the entire supermarket in every corner of the world. Via remote, we have a central monitoring in Milan, near our innovation center, and maintain and control all the supermarket, all the components in the supermarket 24/7 to avoid every break situation, to generate sort of alarm, and this alarm arrive directly to the maintenance people that go to the supermarket in the fast way, because it's very dangerous to change the temperature inside the refrigerator. Another one is the geolocalization of the food and beverage refrigerator. Worldwide geolocalization to have the perfect know-how and to have how every single refrigerator, beverage, pack and so on works, if in the right way, if in the worst way, and so on. Then a lot of, apart the e-commerce, a lot of news to control all the situation every moment.
Okay, thank you. So last question to everyone. I asked to all of our speakers what your suggestions are to the students that are following us today in order to improve their foresight skills, their technical skills, probably also to work in future in companies like yours, for example, or in another way, of course. Giorgio.
Just I arrived from the laboratory di sintesi finale of integrated design because I'm a teacher. Okay. Obviously, Epta support this laboratory since 2011. Then, okay. The claim of this semester is digitalization, because it's a milestone for us. We have a 5 years plan, and the two milestones are digitalization and servitization, obviously integrated with the refrigerator, with the industry 4.0 and so on. But this is the mainstream, and obviously the connection with university is obliged. Then you can imagine that our innovation center collaborates with 10 different universities specified for each element, let's say mechanics or thermodynamics and so on, with the different projects and different laboratories.
Thank you. Fabio?
I would say, besides technical skills that would apply my company, what I saw is the more you know about strangely completely unrelated things, at some point they might help you bridge. You probably will find some links between your technical skills or your business know-how of the field that you're studying, because maybe you're studying programming or arts, probably you will know generally the field, and other completely related fields. At some point you will see the link. That link helps a lot on foresight. That's what's happening to us and the companies we are working with.
Thank you. Maurizio, your suggestion?
My suggestion is the world is going hybrid, and it's the same for education. So yes, improve your hard skills, soft skills, but please remain curious, because the base of every benefit that we can create for the humanity start from needs, concrete needs. And it was exactly for the majority of the companies and projects that had a big success during the past. I mean, Uber, Airbnb, or they start from needs, people needs, and then create an impressive project. This is and remain the base for our success. And this should be ever our focus. So, improve your skills, but remain curious, and remain curious in order to understand how the world is going ahead.
Thank you, Maurizio. Any question? Of course.
Always. So thank you very much for your contributions. I'm really curious about one of the things you said at first. So you decided as IBM not to go with face recognition as a technology. So in my path as a researcher, I read a lot of scientific contributions say why you decided not to develop this specific technology. So I'm really curious about the process behind this decision. So this was led by external forces. So you have seen bad implications from others using that technology, or you conducted an internal study and you came out with findings supporting this idea?
It was an internal decision, but it was followed, or in such ways it was implemented by the majority of the tech company, because what we saw is a strong implication on people control, and we don't want to be part of that. We want to implement technologies that can bring benefits, concrete benefits for the people, for the companies that are our clients, but most of all for their clients. And what we analyzed and considered that IBM spent 6 trillion every year in research and development, that this technologies is not still completed in terms of capability to understand and to analyze the data they are collecting. But it's really, really important to manage that kind of technologies starting from an ethical point of view. And this is why we decided to do that.
Other questions? Okay, are you sure? Okay, so I think the main topic of the different point of view explained today in this event is just one: it's curiosity. Be curious, be innovative. So thank you so much. Okay, no, it's okay, okay. Thank you, Maurizio. Thank you, Mosca.
Thank you too.
Fabio. Thank you, Giorgio. Marita, Carmen, come on with the last speech to close the event.
Yeah. For the conclusion, Carmen will describe the next steps of our project.
Yes,
so
just
Carmen,
a few words to say that today was the first Digital Maturity Day out of 3 foreseen in DC for the M project. The next one will be organized in Madeira Island in 2022, yes, in July. And the last one in France in 2023. So the Digital Maturity Day, as you saw today, it's we try to activate and to foster a cross-cultural knowledge sharing between especially academia and industry. We invited guests and experts from both industries and university, because we think it's very important in a project like this to have this knowledge sharing between these two realities. I mean, the project aimed to developing as a final result an educational toolbox to train the future digital talents to be able to work in a company, to guide companies in their digital transformation processes towards the digital maturity. So it's fundamental to activate this knowledge sharing. And this is also why we decided to have and make this event today here in Made, which is, I mean, we think a perfect location for this knowledge sharing. We are also very happy because today, after 1 year of working online remotely, for the first time, we are here together in presence, but also for the first time, we are meeting our partner from our consortium. So, Marita, you want to introduce?
Yeah, we want to thank you to Valentina, Elisa from Madeira, University of Madeira, and Powell, that is our expert. We have in our project, we have a panel of experts, and so Powell is one of them. And then there is Mainz with David, and then Christophe, and Claire,
Colin from
Colin, I can see, from Telecom Saint-Etienne, and then
there is a Startup Madeira.
Startup Madeira that can be here
online, is following online.
Okay. So
and yes, I just want to add that in the next 2 years we will have a lot of activities. And in the next 3 days, actually, we are going to work a lot together with our consortium to start building the educational resources that then we will apply in the learning lab that we will have in the next 2 years. So the learning lab are training activities with a multidisciplinary team of students from design, management, engineering, where they will work in around 10 days of activities on real challenges launched by tech-driven SMEs and startups. So in this moment, in these training activities, the students will have the opportunity to be guided by the educational resources we are creating, by the DC4DM model we are building in our consortium, and trying to envision new digital scenarios, technological scenarios in the future, and developing innovative solutions within their scenarios. So in the next months, in autumn, winter, we will launch also open calls to involve students. Yes, in all the 3 countries of the consortium, we will involve around 15 tech-driven SMEs and startups, 5 for each country. So this is also an open invitation for all the SMEs that are following us and that want to work with our students and our model. That's it.
It's okay?
Yeah.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah, so I mean, we invite, of course, to follow us. We will have a lot of activities.
And also to suggest us something about this project, because we will improve our website. So also with the models, the new models, the DC for DM model, sorry, and all materials, all tools that we will provide, we will create in the next days, will be open. And so if you want to use these tools or try to use with the student or in your companies, will be great for us to have feedbacks about this. So
everything will be open and uploaded on our website. So we have also social channels, LinkedIn, Instagram, Facebook, so you can see our results and our project results and be updated. Okay. So final thanks.
I want to say thank you, but she wants to speak. But
I finished.
I'm joking, sorry. But I want to say thank you to all. No, I want to say thank you to all our guests. Thank you for this amazing day. I think it was very interesting, very stimulating for all of us. And I think it's also useful for us to improve our models. And I think ethics could be a very important part of this model, because you stimulated very important questions. And so let's see in the next Digital Maturity Day. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Nicoletta, because it's for you that this day was so interesting. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you.
Thanks also to all the participants and that came here and that follows us online.
Yeah. And Daniela, come here, Daniela. That is very hard to organize this day. Thank you, Daniela. She's shy. Not yet.
Thank you.
She's very shy. She did a great job. Because it's not simple to organize this. And thank you. Bye.
Thank you.